Swarnamandalakaram Vyaptanyena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Ajnanati Mirandasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Stavaram Jangamam Yaptam Yat Kinchit Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Babaji Vyapiyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Sarva Shruti Shiroratam Virajita Padam Bhujam Vedantam Bhuja Suryoryam Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Chaitanya Shashvata Shanto Vyomatito Niranjana Indunada Kalakita Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Jnana Shakti Samarudam Atmamala Vibhushita Bhukti Mukti Pradadacha Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Aneka Janma Samprapta Karma Bandha Vinayine Atmajnana Pradanena Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Shoshana Bhava Sindosha Yapanam Sara Sampada Guru Padodakam Samya Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Na Guru Radhikam Tattvam Na Guru Radhikam Tapah Tarpajnana Param Nasti Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Manata Shri Jagannatha Madguru Shri Jagat Guru Mamatma Sarva Bhutatma Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Guru Radhiranadisha Guru Paramadevatam Guru Parataram Nasti Tasme Shri Gurave Namah Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandusha Saga Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandusha Saga Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva
Gurudev Sri Vishwananda
Hari Narayan Sri Vishwananda Gurudev. Narayan 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 Hari Narayan Sri Vishwananda Gurudev. Om Narayan Hari Narayan Sri Vishwananda Gurudev. Narayan Hari Narayan Sri Vishwananda Gurudev. Narayan Hari Narayan Sri Vishwananda Gurudev. Narayan Hari Narayan Sri Vishwananda Gurudev.
Shishaya Namah, Om Ishamaya Namah, Om Devakarya Samudhyataya Namah, Om Sukshmatanave Namah, Om Chinmayaya Namah, Om Guru Murtaye Namah, Om Sundaraya Namah, Om Sulabshanaya Namah, Om Sumukaya Namah, Om Charvasaya Namah, Om Keshavaya Namah, Om Padmabhujaya Namah, Om Mandagamanaya Namah, Om Charumbaradharine Namah, Om Ramaya Namah, Om Mandirastapakaya Namah, Om Shri Babachakaya Namah, Om Gayatri Ajvane Namah, Om Arpana Srikarakaya Namah, Om Vishnu Pujakaya Namah, Om Namo Narayana Iti Mantropasakaya Namah, Om Saramayaya Namah, Om Madhura Kantaya Namah, Om Krishna Sankirtana Lalupaya Namah, Om Satrapriyaya Namah, Om Mitabashine Namah, Om Agmine Namaha, Om Chitakala Visharadaya Namaha, Om Vratadharaya Namaha, Om Sadhave Namaha, Om Jagatpantaya Namaha, Om Sarvalokahitaya Namaha, Om Bhaktapriyaya Namaha, Om Surdaya Namaha, Om Anukulaya Namaha, Om Neyaya Namaha, Om Sudarshanaya Namaha, Om Bhaktavatsalaya Namaha, Om Premamurtaye Namaha, Om Surekshanaya Namaha, Om Pritivardhanaya Namah, Om Sastidayakaya Namah, Om Tarakaya Namah, Om Anugrahaya Namah, Om Vardhanaya Namah, Om Architaya Namah, Om Arthaya Namah, Om Siddhipradaya Namah, Om Janardanaya Namah, Om Manoharaya Namah, Om Mahashaya Namah, Om Siddheshwaraya Namah, Om Bhasmabhushitaya Namah, Om Atmalingaya Namah, Om Nigachana Prasakaya Namah, Om Siddhi Sadanaya Namah, Om Madhavaya Namah, Om Karopasakaya Namah, Om Sukshmaya Namah, Om Vishokaya Namah, Om Satvikaya Namah, Om Samadashine Namah, Om Dakshaya Namah, Om Achintyaya Namah, Om Niramkaraya Namah, Om Nirmohaya Namah, Om Avyagraya Namah, Om Chitakrodaya Namah, Om Vinayashilaya Namah, Om Savashaya Namah, Om Kushalaya Namah, Om Shamaya Namah, Om Satyadharmaya Namah, Om Nirvikalpaya Namah, Om Viraktaya Namah, Om Atindraya Namah, Om Satyasandhaya Namah, Om Pavitraya Namah, Om Madhurasvabhavaya Namah, Om Suranandaya Namah, Om Nandanaya Namah, Om Prasanatmane Namah, Om Bhaktanidaye Namah, Om Sakshaye Namah, Om Samatmaye Namah, Om Sadayogine Namah, Om Haraye Namah, Om Sutapaya Namah, Om Somyaya Namah, Om Guyaya Namah, Om Vimuttatmaya Namah, Om Gabhiraya Namah, Om Guptaya Namah, Om Atmaramaya Namah, Om Srinivasaya Namah, Om Devaya Namah, Om Dhyutidaraya Namah, Om Dhanyaya Namah, Om Gurave Namah, Om Duratikramaya Namah, Om Gahanaya Namah, Om Bhagavate Namah, Om Harisharana Margadarshakaya Namah, Om Kutashagatakaya Namah, Om Abhiprayaya Namah, Om Sarvamata Samatyaya Namah, Om Shamakata Bhavavarnakaya Namah, Om Premavatar Sri Vishwananda Swami Namaha. Ato Deva Avantuno Yato Vishnu Vichakrame Prithivya Sapta Dhamabhi Idam Vishnu Vichakrame Tredani Dade Padam Samudamasya Pagum Sure Trini Pada Vichakrame Vishnu Gopa Ada Abhyam Ato Dharmani Dharayan Vishnu Karmani Pashata Yato Vritani Paspashe Indrasya Yujasaka Tad Vishnu Paramam Padagum Sada Pashanti Suraya Divi Vachakshuratatam Tad Vipraso Vipanyavo Jagru Vagum Sasaminate Vishnuryat Paramam Padam. Gurudevaya Dhimai Tano Vishwananda Prachodayate Om Premavattaraya Vidmai Satgurudevaya Dhimai Tano Vishwananda Prachodayate Om Premavattaraya Vidmai Satgurudevaya Dhimai Tano Vishwananda Prachodayate. Suryakoti Samabhrabha Nilinyam Kurume Deva Sarva Karyeshu Sarvada Sarva Karyeshu Sarvada Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Yo Yo Na Prachodaya Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। ॐ भूर्भुवस्सुः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। श्री कृष्ण विष्णु मधुसूदन केतवरे नारायण अच्युत त्रिविक्रम चक्रपाणे नित्याद्रि सर्वधर श्रीधर वासुदेव गोपाल कृष्ण हरये तव सुप्रभातम्।
श्री रुक्मिणीश भवनाश हरे मुरारे राधेश गोपेश स्वरूप प्रभृमादिवन्द्या श्री द्वारकाश्च वैकुण्ठपते भुवनैकमूर्ते गोपाल देव हरे तव सुप्रभातम्।
मीनाकृते कमतरूपवराहमूर्ते त्रिविक्रमाय गुहने गुरुराम राम श्रीराम कृष्ण यदुनन्दन कल्किरूपा गोपाल कृष्ण हरये तव सुप्रभातम्।
गोविन्द माधव मुकुन्द परात्परेश दामोदराच्युत नन्द कधारिशोरि गोप गोपीजन संवृत दीनबन्धो गोपीजन प्रिय हरये तव सुप्रभातम्।
क्षीरब्धिशायि भुजगाधिपतल्पशायि सद्भक्तहृत्सदनशायि रमङ्गशायि श्रीगोपवाममृदुतल्पसुखाधिशायि गोपवल्लभहरे तव सुप्रभातम्।
श्रीकश्यपात्रिसुखनारद गौतमादि ब्राह्मर्षि संगमनि संगवभारतेषु तिष्ठन्ति देव तव दर्शन भाग्य हेतुः गोपाल शेखर हरे तव सुप्रभातम्।
मन्दार झादि तुलसी दल मालिकाद्यै माल्यानि अञ्जलिपुते समुदाहरन्ति तिष्ठन्ति त्वद्भवतधारतले मुनिद्रा राधा मनोहर हरे तव सुप्रभातम्।
वेदत्रयं पतति गौतमकान्नगूयः गायन्ति सद्गुणगणो वरदासवर्गः संकीर्तयन्ति तव नाम कदा विशेषः श्रीनारदादिनिशया तव सुप्रभातम्।
गोवर्धनोद्धरन गोपकिशोर गोप गोपीजनमृतसुवेश भवाब्धिपोत त्रिलोक्यमोहन सुमङ्गलदिव्यदेह श्रीरुक्मिणीश वरदा तव सुप्रभातम्।
श्रीवत्स्य क्षीण शरणागत पारिजात भक्तार्तिभञ्जन कृपाकर दीनबन्धो नित्यान्त गायति जनप्रिय दिव्यरूपा श्रीनन्द गोपतनया तव सुप्रभातम्।
पद्मक्ष पद्ममुख पद्मधरा प्रमेय पद्मालय स्वर्ग पद्मनिवास शौरी पद्मो भवति सुरसेवित पादपद्मा पद्माधिनाथ हरये तव सुप्रभातम्।
वृन्दातले विहरणाय महेन्द्रवन्द्या कन्दर्पदर्पहरतीय सुदेशरूपा चन्द्राननाय शिरचन्दनलिप्नदेहा गोविन्दयालवरये तव सुप्रभातम्।
श्रीनन्दनन्दन यशोद कुमार धीरा मायङ्गधीनद विचोन सुपुष्पहारा नीलम्बुदा सुचरीर रमा विहारा गोपाल देव हरये तव सुप्रभातम्।
श्रीवंशी जन्मवति सत्य सुगन्धि भद्रा Shri Mitra Vindya Divasa Prabhu Putrikanya He Tishtanti Divya Bhavame Tava Sevanardam Gopi Mana Priyaraye Tava Suprabhatam
Shri Krishna Achyuta Ananta Mukunda Shori Radha Manohara Janardana Chakrapane Namani Divya Munayurna Nisham Vadanti Brahmi Muhurta Samaye Tava Suprabhatam Shri Krishna Suprabhatam Ye Padanti Arnisham Bhuri Kritam Mahapapam Shri Krishna Graha Vetukam Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Chintamani Prakar Satma Sukalpa Vriksha Lakshavriteshu Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Renum Kvamantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Halola Chandra Kalasadvana Malya Vamshi Ratnangadam Pranaya Keli Kalavilasam Shamam Tribhangalalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasya Sakalindriya Vrittimanti Pashyanti Panti Kalayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadujvala Vigrahasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampragamyo Vayoratapi Manaso Muni Pungavanam Sopyasti Yat Prapadasimya Vichintya Tatve Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Eko Pesora Chayitum Jagadanda Kotim Yachakti Rasti Jagadanda Chayaya Danta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yadpanamavita Diyo Manujastateva Samprapya Rupamanimasa Nayana Bhusha Shukte Yameva Nigama Pratitestu Vanti Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavis Tabhirya Eva Nijarupataya Kalabi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena
Santa Sadeva Hiradeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunasvarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Ramadi Murti Shukalani Yamena Tishtam Dhanavataram Karot Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Svayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasya Prabha Prabhavato Jagadanda Koti Koti Shvashesha Vasudhari Vibhuti Binam Tat Brahmanishkalam Anantam Ashesha Bhutam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Maya Yasya Jagadanda Chatani Sutem Trigunya Tat Vishaya Veda Vitaya Mana Sattva Valambi Parasattva Vishuddha Sattvam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Ananda Chinmaya Razatmataya Manashu Ya Praninam Pratipalam Smaratam Upetya Lila Hitena Bhuvanani Jayati Jasram Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Golokanam Nichadam Nichale Tatasya Devi Maesha Haridama Suteshu Teshu Tete Prabhava Nichaya Vihitasya Yena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Shishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Reva Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Vivarti Durga Ikshanurupamapi Yasya Chacheshta Teza Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Chiram Yatada Divikara Vishesha Yoga Sanjayate Naitata Pratigasti Heto Yashambhutam Apitata Samupeti Karya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Dipachireva Idashantarama Vyupetya Dipayate Vrivita Etu Samana Dharma Yastadriyeva Icha Vishnutaya Vipati Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Yadharananavajale Bhajati Sma Yoga Nidramananta Jagadanda Saromakupa Adhara Shakti Mavalambya Param Swamurtim Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yasvekanishvasita Kala Matavalambya Jivanti Loma Viraja Jagadandanataha Vishnur Mahansaya Yasya Kala Vishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Vasam Yatasma Sakaleshu Nijeshu Teja Zviyam Kiyat Prakatayatya Pitatva Atra Brahmaya Esa Jagadanda Vidhana Karta Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami
Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Yadpada Pallava Yugam Vinidaya Kumbha Dvandve Pranama Samaye Sagagari Rajaha Dignam Vihantu Mamalasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
अग्निमयि गगनमम्बुमरुदिशश्च कालस्ततात्ममनसीति जगत्त्रयाणि यस्माद्भवन्ति विभवन्ति विशन्ति यं च गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यश्चक्षुरेश सविता सकलाग्रहाणां राजस्तमससुरमूर्तिरशेषतेषः यस्याज्ञया भ्रमति संवृतकालचक्रो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
धर्मोत्तपापनिचयाश्रितयस्तपंसि भ्रामादिकीतपतगावधयश्च जीवः यद्दत्तमात्र विभवा प्रगता प्रभाव गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यस्मिन्द्रगोपमतविन्द्रमहोस्वकर्म द्वन्द्वानरूपफलभाजमनातनोति कर्माणि निर्दहति किन्तु च भक्तिपाशं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि यं क्रोधकामसहजा प्रणयादिभीति वात्सल्यमो गुरुगौरवसेव्यपावहे सञ्चिन्त्यतस्य सर्वचिन्तमुना पुरेते गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
ईश्वर परमकृष्ण सच्चिदानन्द विग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्द सर्वकरणकरणं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि
Shri Suktam, Bhu Suktam, Nila Suktam.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Hiranyavarnamarinim Suvarnarajatasrajam Chandram Hiranmayim Lakshmim Jatavedo Mahavaha Tamahavaha Jatavedo Lakshmim Anapagaminim Yasya Niranyam Vindeyam Gamashvan Purushanaham Ashvapurvam Ratamadyam Astinada Prabodhinim Shriyam Devi Mupakvaye Shirma Devi Drushatam Kamso Smitam Iranya Prakaram Ardram Chalantim Triptam Tarpayantim Padme Stitam Padmavarnam Tamyopakvaye Shriyam Chandram Prabhasam Yashasa Jalantim Shriyam Loke Devajushamudaram Tam Padminimim Sharanamaham Prapadye Lakshmir Menasyatam Tvam Vrane Adityavarne Tapasodi Jato Vanaspatistava Vrikshota Bilvaha Tasya Palani Tapasanudantu Mayantaraya Chabaya Lakshmi Upetu Mam Devasaka Kirdisya Manina Saha Pradurvutosmi Rashtresmin Kirti Pravritim Dadatu Me Kshutpipasamalam Yeshtam Lakshmim Nashayam Yaham Abhutimasamriddhim cha sarvan nirnunamigriyat Gandhadvaram duradasham nityapusham karishinim Ishvari gum sarvabhutanam tamyopakvaye shriyam मनसा काममाकूतिं वाचः सत्यमशीमहि पशूनां रूपमन्यस्य महिषी शयतां यशः कर्दमेन प्रजा भूता मयि सम्भव कर्दमा श्रियं वासय मे कुले मातरं पद्ममालिनीम् आपसृजन्तु स्निग्धानि चिद्गीतवस मे गृहे निच देवी मातरं श्रियं वासय मे कुले अर्द्रां पुष्करिणीं पुष्टिं सुवर्णामेव मालिनीं सूर्यां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः अर्द्रां यक्करिणीं यष्टिं पिङ्गलां पद्ममालिनीं चन्द्रां हिरण्मयीं लक्ष्मीं जातवेदो महावः तां महावः जातवेदो लक्ष्मीमनपगामिनीं यस्यां हिरण्यं प्रभूतं गावो दास्यो श्वान् विन्देयन् पुरुषानहम् यशुषि प्रयतो भूत्वा जुहुयादाचमं वहम् सूक्तं पञ्चदशचं च श्रीकामः सततं जपेत् पद्मप्रिये पद्मिनि पद्महस्ते पद्मालये पद्मदलायताक्षी विश्वप्रिये विष्णुमनोनुकूले तत्पादपद्मन्मयि सन्निधस्व महादेवे च विद्महे विष्णुपत्न्यै च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः भूमिर्भुवनाद्यो वरिणन्तरिक्षं महित्वा उपस्थिते देवतिथिग्निमन्नादमन्नाद्यायाददे आयङ्गो पृश्निरक्रमीदशनं मातरं पुनः पितरं च त्रयं सुवः त्रिगुंशद्धामविराजति वाक्पतङ्गाय शिष्यये प्रत्यस्य वाद्युभिः अस्य प्राणादपानद्यन्तश्चरति रोचना व्यक्यं महिषः सुवः यद्वा कृतः परोपमन्युना यदवर्त्या सुकल्पमग्ने तत्तव पुनः सोदीपयामसि यत्ते मन्युपरोक्तस्य पृथिवीमनुदद्वसे आदित्या विश्वे तद्देवा वसवश्च समावरन् मनो ज्योतिर्जुषतामक्षं विच्छिन्नं यज्ञगुंसमिमं ददातु बृहस्पतिस्तनुतामिमं नो विश्वे देवा यमादयन्ताम् मेदिनी देवी वसुन्धरा स्याद्वसुधा देवी वासवी ब्रह्मवर्चस पितृणागुं श्रोत्रं चक्षुर्मनः देवी हिरण्यगर्भिणी देवी प्रसूवरी सदने सत्यायने सीदा समुद्रवती सावित्री देवी मायङ्गी महोदरणी महोव्यतिष्ठा शृङ्गे शृङ्गे यज्ञे यज्ञे विभीषणी इन्द्रपत्नी व्यापिनी सुरसरिदिहा वायुमती जलशयनी श्रियं दाराज सत्यन्तो परिमेदिनी सोपरिदतं परिगाय विष्णुपत्नी महीं देवी माधवी माधवप्रियां लक्ष्मी प्रियसखीं देवीं नमामच्युतवल्लभां धनुर्धायै विद्महे सर्वसिद्ध्यै च धीमहि तन्नो धनः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः नीलां देवीं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये गृह्णारी घृतवती सवितरादिपत्यै पयस्वती नन्तिराशानो अस्तु Dhruvadisham Vishnupatnyagora Seshana Sahasoya Manota Brihaspatir Matarishvota Vayusanduvana Bhata Abhino Grananto Vishtambo Divodharana Prativya Asyeshana Jagato Vishnupatni Mahadevicha Vidmahe Vishnupatni Chadimahi Tanno Nila Prachodayat Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.
Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmelitam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Good day, good morning. So, according to the list, after having spoken about various of the kings such as Agnidra and Nabi, wanted to speak today about the son of King Nabi, which is Lord Rishabhadev, which I'm sure most of you have heard about before. As we know in the Bhagavatam, there are 24 main incarnations or avatars of the Lord described, and there are innumerable more, as it says in the Bhagavatam. But one of those, in this list, is Lord Rishabhadev. And so we know that each of the avatar have a certain purpose, certain, could say, inspiration for why they come for. So Lord Rishabhadev's life is very interesting, you could say. I think I'll read the verse first that I chose. I chose one verse, and then I'll go back and tell a bit of the story, how it comes to that point, just to understand a bit more the context. But I like the verse, so it's very nice, shocking verse to understand the activities of the Supreme Lord in this material world. So this is from Canto 5, Chapter 5. So the story of Lord Rishabhadev is actually for 3 chapters. So this kind of in the middle, verse 32. Yarhi vasa bhagavan lokamimam yoga shadha pradimam ivakakshana tat pratikriya karma bhibatsitam iti vratam ijagaram ashita saya na eva shtati pipati kadhati eva mahita yadati smak cheta mana ucharita adikdhadho deshaha. When Lord Rishabhadev saw that the general populace was very antagonistic to his execution of mystic yoga, he accepted the behavior of a python in order to counteract their opposition. Thus he stayed in one place and lay down. While laying down, he ate and drank. He passed stool and urine and rolled in it. Indeed, he smeared his whole body with his own stool and urine, so that opposing elements might not come and disturb him. This is the Supreme Lord himself. If you don't know what stool is, it's poop. Okay? So what he does is he pretends to be a python. He eats, he drinks, he lays down, he urinates in stool and releases his stool and then rolls inside of it, just so that people will leave him alone. Okay? So, to start at the beginning, the story of the king that I told last time is the story of King Nabi. So King Nabi was a very righteous king. He was very dharmic. He did all the right things that a king is supposed to do. He cared for his citizens like a father. But the one thing that he did not have was a child. And he didn't necessarily want a child. As a child himself, he did not necessarily want the king. He wanted to take sannyas, but by the wish of his father, as it is the duty of a son, of a prince, to carry on the lineage and to look after the kingdom, he accepted, but he was very wise. And so what he said is that naturally when you become a parent, you become very attached to your children. And he said, I have done the best that I possibly could in my life by ruling the king and so on, the kingdom and so on, not to become attached. But to become not to become attached to your children seems something that is extremely, extremely difficult. And so he said, I don't want children, but I need to have children because it's my duty. It's my dharma as a king to carry on the lineage. So he said, I don't want any child. I want a child like the Lord. So that even if I have a child, at least I focus on the Lord when I look after the child. So I think it's a pretty wise thing. So he did very intense sadhana. He went to a cave. He did with his wife, Meru Devi. He did very intense sadhana. And eventually, the Lord appeared to him in this four-armed form on Mahavishnu. And he gave him the boon. But when King Nabi asked to have a child like him, the Lord said, I cannot grant your boon because there is nobody like me. There is only one like me, and that's me. And so I cannot grant your boon, but I will come as your son. So I cannot give you somebody like me, I can only give you myself. And so he decided to come and manifest himself into the womb of Meru Devi. And so he was born. Eventually he was born. He grew up as we could imagine, very naturally quite amazing, impressive, quote-unquote human being. And I'll take a few verses just to show a little bit from the story. So the reason why King Nabi called his son Rishabha means the best or supreme. So he called his son Rishabhadev. This is from chapter 4, from the beginning. So the chapter 4 describes the characteristics and the birth of Rishabhadev. So it says, when the son of Maharaj Nabi became visible, he evinced all the good qualities described by the great poets. Namely, he had a very well-built body with all the symptoms of the Lord. He had great prowess, strength, beauty, name, fame, influence, and enthusiasm. When the father, Maharaj Nabi, saw all these qualities, he thought his son to be the best of human beings, or the supreme being himself. Therefore, he gave him the name Rishabha. As he grew up, of course, he had those qualities, but more than anything, he was extremely loved by everybody in the kingdom, by all the citizens. From his very young age, he was always loved by everybody. He was always seen as this with these great qualities. So eventually, what happened is that as he grew up, King Nabi was very particular in his education, in his growing up. So he's very, very, you could say, attached in some way, or seemingly attached. But when he saw that his son was ready, everybody loved him, everything was great, he decided to move on to the sannyas stage of his life. And so it became obvious that he was not attached, because from one day to the next, he enthroned his son and went to the forest to dwell in the forest and focus upon moksha, I suppose. So there's many amazing activities that Lord Rishabha did. So throughout his life, actually his life was very dharmic, very proper. And he went to the Gurukul, he learned whatever he was supposed to learn. He was always very proper son, very respectful, very loved, and so on. One of the things that showed his greatness is that, similar to Krishna, and I chose this one story because I guess it's connected to Krishna in a sense, he didn't particularly care about the worship of Indra. So he didn't. And so Indra was not very happy, and he was a little bit jealous over some other things. So he decided not to make it rain, so that when it doesn't rain, the drought comes. When the drought comes, the harvest goes to die, and when you don't have harvest, you will starve, right? Not good. So what King Rishabha did, he simply made it rain. he said, "Let it rain," and it rained. And so Indra was a bit perplexed because he said, "That's my job. I'm the boss of the rain. If I say it doesn't rain, it doesn't rain. How is this possible?" So again, of course, as it usually goes, he didn't realize who Rishabha is. No? So eventually he gets married to Jayanti. He led an exemplary householder life, a kingly life. He looked after his sons, his citizens equally. He had 100 sons with his wife Jayanti. I'm not sure what is this thing about always having 100 sons. It sounds quite a lot. I don't know how many of you Matajis have had children. I think to have 100 is quite a thing, probably. I think as a father to look after them is one thing, but for a woman to have 100 children sounds intense, I suppose, but I guess they had a longer life, and I don't know how that works. But it's a thing, and we can see it quite a few times in the Bhagavatam, no? So, as we know, one of the main thing about King Rishabha's life is this famous chapter 5, in which he teaches his 100 sons. Yeah. So I took 2 verses just to show a little bit about what his teachings were to his sons. So starting with the first one, just to give the introduction, Lord Rishabhadev told his sons, "My dear boys, of all the living entities we have accepted material bodies in this world, one of who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for dogs and hogs that eat stool." So it seems like he likes stool, but he speaks about stool a lot. That doesn't sound like the teaching of a normal father, I suppose. But a normal father wouldn't tell his son, "You should not work very hard day and night just for sense gratification." That is exactly the opposite. Right? Your father would tell you, you have to work very hard to build wealth, to build a family, to get a nice house and a nice car or whatever. No, King Rishabhadev said, this is exactly not what you should do. My dear boys, you should not work day and night hard for sense gratification. He doesn't say you should not work hard. He says you shouldn't work hard for sense gratification. Right? It's a big difference. And so he gives him very direct and very great teachings that actually would equate usually to a spiritual master, not necessarily a material father, which obviously he is not, right? So one should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. So he makes it clear that in this first statement already, that the point of to become a human being, to get a human form in of itself, is already very difficult and a great blessing. Like he says, even dogs and hogs which eat stool, they work day and night for sense gratification. They work day and night to fulfill their pleasures or instincts to survive. But human existence is not about survival. It's about transcending this human form and attaining the Supreme Lord. There is a higher purpose to human existence which no other form of existence has. And so to have this human form is a huge blessing and at the same time a huge responsibility, because we have this opportunity to attain the Lord. And so he makes it very clear that the purpose of human life is not for sense gratification, but to attain this supreme bliss. And like he said, by doing penance and austerity, one will attain this happiness, which is not just in this life, but will be lasting happiness. And so I think to have instructions like this by a father, like he said actually in a previous verse, that a king should attend to his citizens equally than a father looks after his sons. And so he actually taught all of this, not only to his sons, but to his citizens as a king. And so to have someone teaching this to those that they are responsible for is extremely important. And I think it's the same for all of us also, whether it's in the same situation as father-son, whether it's situation as teacher and listener, whether it's in the situation of just friends. I think it's very important to understand. Because in a normal, not for us normal situation, or the outside normal situation, we have this also very often, no? That maybe we complain about each other, or we kind of, as a friend, we complain about, not really complain, but complain about the treatment of Guruji towards us. Sometimes we complain because he spoke to me very harshly. Sometimes you may complain because he didn't speak to you harshly, because you would prefer that he speaks to you, but there is only one very specific way that you would like him to speak to you, which doesn't happen very often, maybe. Sometimes you complain because he didn't speak to you. Sometimes you may complain because he didn't look at you. And sometimes you may complain because he did look at you. Okay? You can complain about everything he does, because it might not be to your liking. Although I think there's one thing that I have also experienced that you might not complain, that is when he gives you a hug. I think otherwise you can complain about everything, right? Why? Because whatever Guruji does is not to pamper us, but it is to remind ourselves to detach from this world, to detach from the fruits of our actions. He is here to constantly push us towards this higher, supreme happiness. And that is what King Rishabhadev is showing here. And so as devotee friends, it is not what we should do to engage each other into complaining. It is rather to help each other to understand. Yes, for sure, it doesn't feel nice most of the time, whether it's directly with Guruji or whether Guruji works through each other as devotees to push our buttons. It doesn't feel nice. But it's our duty to remind each other what it is for, and why he is doing it, and what's the purpose. And that is to attain that supreme bliss. And that only works when we are challenged, because we don't want to change if everything is nice and easy. And so the only way to change is through these things, no? And so we know that a Paramahamsa, which is in of itself already extremely rare to have, is the best person to bring you to that position. Not only because he's there and he knows what it is, but what has to be done to get there, but a Paramahamsa is the one person that is free of ego, of selfish desires. And even more, the Paramahamsa acts consciously against that which society prescribes to be perfect. The Bhagavatam itself describes the qualities and characteristics of a Paramahamsa, and that actually recommends the Paramahamsa to work against the norms of society, to challenge the minds of people exactly for that purpose. And we can see that with Guruji so often. That's why I chose another, actually it's 4 verses, 10 to 13, which King Rishabha speaks. It's probably one of the more lengthy sections of his teachings. And so he says, "O my sons, you should accept a highly elevated Paramahamsa as a spiritually advanced master. In this way, you should place your faith and love in me, the Supreme Lord. You should detest sense gratification and tolerate the duality of pleasure and pain, which are like the seasonal changes of summer and winter. Try to realize the miserable condition of living entities who are miserable even in the higher planetary systems. Philosophically inquire about the truth, then undergo all kinds of austerities and penances for the sake of devotional service. Give up the endeavor for sense enjoyment and engage in the service of the Lord. Listen to discussions of the Supreme Lord and always associate with devotees. Chant about and glorify the Supreme Lord and look upon everyone equally in the spiritual platform. Give up enmity and subdue anger and lamentation. Abandon identifying the self with the body and the home, and practice reading the revealed scriptures. Live in a secluded place and practice the process by which you can completely control your life air, mind, and senses. Have full faith in the revealed scripture, the Vedic literature, and always observe celibacy. Perform your prescribed duties and avoid unnecessary talks. Always thinking of the Supreme Lord, acquire knowledge from the right source. Thus practicing Bhakti Yoga, you will patiently and enthusiastically be elevated in knowledge and will be able to give up the false ego." So it's a great step-by-step manual, actually, that he's giving of what we need to do to attain the goal. And it is amazing because it is exactly the same, surprise, it is exactly the same that Krishna speaks in the Gita, and it is non-different to the instruction that Guruji gives. No? Yes, it is very clear. Clarity helps. I would say it doesn't make it easier, but clarity makes it easier to a degree. We still need to do it. No? And so all the things that he says about control your mind, your senses, control or do not speak unnecessary gossip. He says control the amount of anger that you have or express, and control the amount of lamentation that you express towards the world. It's not easy, no? He says always engage and look for the association with the devotees, etc. We know all of those things, no? We know all of them, but not easy to do. No, because the moment that and I can see this in all those amazing sanghas in the world of Bhakti Marga, which are of course very elevated bhaktas. But sometimes we have an issue with one person, and we say, I don't want to come to the sangha anymore. One person, right? How childish is that? No? And yes, to a degree, for sure, it's understandable. We are human beings, we get hurt and whatever. But if we have the knowledge, how childish is it? No? From a material perspective, sure, I can understand it. As long as we don't have the knowledge of the Gita, as long as we don't have the knowledge of Guruji, and as long as we don't have this knowledge of the Bhagavatam, like King Rishabhadev is giving here, I can understand it. If we have this knowledge, I think it's not understandable. No? Because we know exactly what the Sangha is for. We know exactly what we are here for also. And it's not to give in to these small and petty things. So whenever there are these kind of challenges, what I think we should do is do the opposite of what we normally would do, or what we would tend to do normally. So we consciously should challenge ourselves. If I have a problem with somebody in the Sangha, I go to the Sangha anyways. If I have a problem with somebody, I try to solve the problem with that person, because usually the opposite is what I would do. No? So I think very much the spiritual path is about challenging ourselves, challenging what we would usually tend to do, and to a degree, to become comfortable with challenge. No? Because for sure, and I guess sometimes people ask Guruji what it is like to be close to Guruji. I'm sure that those who are still around Guruji wouldn't be there if there wouldn't be, to a degree, comfortable with being challenged. No? And I'm sure that all of us have the same thing. We wouldn't be here if we would at the very least accept challenges for what they are and understand the purpose of them. No? And it is very difficult to still be here and stay here if eventually you don't start to a degree, enjoy challenges. Because you make your life so much harder than it needs to be if you make a drama about every single small challenge. No? And so I would actually say that to a degree, because again, I say it's understandable that it's not comfortable or nice, but I would say to a degree, we have to become at the very least comfortable, and even better, enjoy the challenges that Guruji gives us or the Sangha gives us. Because only in that way, when you start to enjoy them, enjoy doesn't mean you have to smile and with a big smile on your face about everything all the time. No, but enjoy mean to take these challenges face on and not to avoid them. I think that's the only way that we'll get the full benefit of being around Guruji, being in the Sangha, and transform ourselves also. And as a little side effect, our life might become just a little bit more enjoyable. Because there is, at least what I can see in my few years of this life, I don't think that there's any form of life, whether you are Grihastha or Brahmachari, I don't think there is any form of life which has no problems. So if there is no form of life which has no problems, I think we can better our life a lot if we enjoy the problems. Because if you don't enjoy them, you will still have the problems, but in a very different mood. No? And I know it's not easy, but I'm sure it will improve life quality quite a lot. So just to end with one verse, I can have a few more, but I want to finish. It's actually the verse that he spoke before, the one that I presented at the beginning, the main verse. So it describes, because I think it's nice just to have a description of King Rishabhadeva, or his form. No? We always speak about the form of the Lord. So this chapter 5, verse 31. Lord Rishabhadeva's hands, feet and chest were very long. His shoulders, face and limbs were all very delicate and symmetrically proportioned. His mouth was beautifully decorated with his natural smile, and his appearance all the more lovely with his reddish eyes spread wide like the petals of a newly grown lotus flower, covered with dew in the early morning. The irises of his eyes were so pleasing that they removed all the troubles of everyone who saw him. His forehead, ears, neck, nose, and all his other features were very beautiful. His gentle smile always made his face beautiful, so much so that he even attracted the hearts of married women. Sounds like Krishna. It was as though they had been pierced by arrows of Cupid. About his head was an abundance of curly, matted brown hair. His hair was disheveled because his body was dirty and not taken care of. He appeared as if he were haunted by a ghost. Obviously, this is after he renounced his throne, right? So eventually, he gave his, after, of course, probably not all 100 sons, but after his oldest son grew up, he enthroned his oldest son and went to the forest for renunciation. The problem was, because he was so famous and so much liked, people didn't leave him alone. And so that is why he decided to pretend to be a python, a deer, a dog, or whatever it may be. And he sometimes sat on the ground, sometimes he walked around, sometimes he lay down, sometimes he smeared himself with his own poo, just to get rid of people. Because wherever he would go, he would be loved and people would follow him. And so he tried to get rid of people by smearing himself with his own poo and pretending to be crazy. No? So that is the original verse that I read. And so just to finish, I don't want to leave it there that the Supreme Lord smears himself with his own stool. Because generally we would think that, gets people off and it doesn't smell nice and whatever. So in the verse after, verse 33, because Lord Rishabhadev remained in that condition, the public did not disturb him, but no bad aroma emanated from his stool and urine. Quite the contrary, his stool and urine was so aromatic that it filled 80 miles of the countryside with a pleasant fragrance. Jai Gurudev.
Narasimha Swarupa Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Bhakta Swarupa Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Bhakta Swarupa Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Bhakta Swarupa Jaya Prahlad Maharaj.
Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev Sri Vishwananda Gurudev. Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me.
Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me.
Yatindraya Karunakaraya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Yatindraya Karunakaraya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Prapati Dharmikaradaya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Prapati Dharmikaradaya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me.
Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me.
Saligrama Pratisthitaya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Saligrama Pratisthitaya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Tridhanadharine Godagrataya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Chidandadarine Godagajaya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me.
Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me.
Gange Sakengare Rataya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Rangesha Kankayarataya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Mananathaya Dharine Dharaya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Mananataya Dharindaraya, Mangala Mangala Me.
Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me.
Ramanuja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me. Yatiraja, Ramanuja, Mangala Mangala Me.
Om Jai Lakshmi Mata, Jaya Jaya Lakshmi Mata.
तुमको निशादीन सेवका, तुमको निशादीन सेवका, हर विष्णु विधाता। ओम जय लक्ष्मी माता।
Purana Brahmani,
तुम्हारी जगमाता, जय तुम्हारी जगमाता। सूर्य चंद्रमा द्यावत, सूर्य चंद्रमा द्यावत, नारायण ऋषि गाथा। ओम जय लक्ष्मी माता। दुर्गा रूप निरंजनी, सुख संपत्ति दाता, जय सुख संपत्ति दाता। जो कोई तुमको ध्यावत, जो कोई तुमको ध्यावत, प्रीति विधन प्रदा। ओम जय लक्ष्मी माता। तुम पादा निवासिनी, तुम्हारी शुभदाता, मैं तुम्हारी शुभदाता। कर्म प्रभाव प्रकाशिनी, कर्म प्रभाव Gunata, Meya Sava Sadgunata, Sava Sambhava Ojata, Sava Sambhava Ojata, Manaya Lata, Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Tuma Vinaya Jana Hote, Vastrana Koi Pata, Meya Vastrana Koi Pata, Dasa Tumabin, Koi Nahi Pata, Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Mahalakshmi Chikihari, Jo Koi Janagata, Meya Jo Koi Janagata, Pura Ananda Samata, Pura Ananda Samata, Papa Uttara Jata, Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Jaya Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Tumako Nisadina Sevata, Tumako Nisadina Sevata, Hara Vishnu Vidata, Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Tumako Nisadina Sevata, Tumako Nisadina Sevata, Hara Vishnu Vidata, Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Jaya Jaya Lakshmi Mata, Tumako Nisadina Sevata, Tumako Nisadina Sevata, Hara Vishnu Vidata, Om Jaya Lakshmi Mata. Eva Mata Chapita Tameva, Tvameva Bandhushcha Sakha Tameva, Tvameva Vinyan Ravinam Tvameva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva, Asato Ma Satmaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Hari Om. Vince Guru Shri Lakshmi Narayana Bhagavan Ki Jai, Simha Bhagavan Ki Jai, Radha Krishna Kanhaiya Lal Ki Jai, Mahavacharya Babaji Ki Jai, Ramanujacharya Ki Jai, Vince Guru Satgurudeva Sri Swami Vishwananda Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Om Shri Krishnaya Govindaya Gopi Janavalabhaya Paraya Parama Purushaya Karma Mantri Yantra Tantra Ushatani Shastani Samara Samara Vidyor Mochaya Mochaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Mahasulashanaye Dikte Dvada Prajaya Sarvati Shmanam Bhat Parasmane Parabrahmane Paramjyotishe Swaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Hari Om. Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Govinda